And we are back. You are watching the Etch Play weekly live show, episode 3. Yep, we got a third show. We're still going. I'm now joined by Ben Joy. Ben, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Adam. I'm good, although I do have a bone to pick with you just before we get started.
Okay, I knew this was going to happen. You're mad because I
Yeah,
didn't tell people at home that you correctly predicted the price of the PlayStation 5. Is that correct?
that's correct. You gave Miles all the praise. This guy also got it right.
Okay, let it be known that Ben Joy, having seen Miles's correct answer, copied him and was able to also get the correct answer.
I mean, I was already 50% right after last week, so
Yeah, we're
anyway,
we're not here to talk about
no.
PlayStation anymore. They've had their segment, had like 50 minutes of the show. We're here to talk about marketing. Really, this is the grand finale of the show. You know, we start with news, give you a little bit of gameplay, and then Ben Joy hits you with the fresh insight from the top of the dome. So let's talk about it. Today we're talking about building hype for your game.
Yep.
And you've been doing some research, so this is for all the folks at home who maybe have a game or work in games marketing, or because I think everyone knows nowadays the market's so competitive that making a good game is not enough. You can't just have a good game; you have to also really plan and effectively execute a marketing strategy. So, yeah, building hype is a critical part of that. Take us through it. How do people build
Yeah,
hype for games?
yeah, it's absolutely right. As you say, it's as competitive as ever. There are more games coming out every day, every week, every month, year on year. The number of games coming out is huge. If you sign up to like the ICO newsletter, you'll see all the ones that come out on Steam every week. It's huge. So yeah, obviously building hype is a big thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be the huge games that are able to build hype. And really, the size of the game or the studio that you are will have a direct impact on the level of hype you can build, but also the methods that you could use to build hype. So, for example, if you're a huge game with tons of money, and you're getting picked up by the big publishers, you're getting picked up by the platforms, then you can drop an E3 trailer and your hype is huge because you're in front of so many eyeballs, and everyone then knows your game is coming and has a lot of information to start talking about it immediately when there's a huge community already around and watching. Whereas on the flip side, if you're a much smaller game and you're not going to get that E3 trailer, that E3 spotlight, you need to think a little bit differently. And there's so many different ways that you can go about building hype and getting noticed. So I'm going to more focus on, I guess, what would be good for smaller studios, smaller games, and your Call of Duty and stuff. Because I don't want to say it's easy, but it is. It's much easier for your Call of Duties to get a lot of people's attention very quickly with
Yeah,
not doing an awful lot. It doesn't mean they don't do cool things because they do. But
yeah.
so for smaller
Activision got
games,
it covered.
yeah, they've got a pretty big following, so that's nice and easy for them. So one of the ways I wanted to talk about initially is what you can do on Discord. So Discord is a great platform for gaming. It's well known within gaming, and there's some really cool stuff that you can do on there. And really, what it boils down to is building a strong community and essentially giving your fans the information firsthand and in somewhat of an exclusive club, and let them really be your evangelists to build that hype. And a game that did that very well was Descenders. Was being published by No More Robots. They had a very strong Discord strategy that they took with that. So if you don't know the game, check it out. It's a downhill mountain dirt biking game, and essentially in the game you have three teams that you can join, and they essentially replicated that within Discord. So when they had people coming into Discord, you would immediately drop in, and you would have limited access to some of the channels, but there was a channel for like picking your team, and then you would type in like hashtag and then one of the team names, and you would be assigned to that team, which would then open up a bunch of more channels in the Discord that everyone had access to, and then specific ones for your team. And then weekly there were challenges, so they kind of built like a meta game around Discord, which gets people excited. They're dropping things about the game, and it's building up kind of I'm this team, and you're getting an affinity with the team and learning all about them before the game even comes. And then obviously with the challenges, you're able to then go out and get more people to try and join your team, and then the hype and the excitement and the awareness of your game spreads pretty much organically from your users, because you've given them kind of the tools to be able to do that. Another game that did pretty well on Discord as well is Spellbreak, which I think came out pretty recently. And again, they set up a bunch of channels, and they were kind of just feeding information to the Discord kind of privately, and they had NDAs within the Discord, so it really felt like an exclusive club, and then you were rewarded for bringing people in, and it really starts to build awareness that way.
We should mention for anyone who doesn't know, Discord is it's a chat platform that you can join various chat rooms, basically organised around a central theme. So yeah, really powerful way to build communities. You mentioned Spellbreak. They're really well. That's only just launched recently. Battle Royale with magic spells. They've done a lot of interesting marketing work, haven't they? I think they did some stuff. Is it Reddit they did this on?
Yeah. So actually, like obviously talking about Discord, you obviously need to get people in, and getting the initial awareness is the hardest part sometimes. Obviously, the Discord works really well once you've got the people in, start building from there. But what Spellbreak actually did was, you're absolutely right, they did use Reddit, but what they also did, which was not something I'd ever really given that much consideration to, is they actually they used Imgur.
Let's go with Imgur. That sounds right.
You told me off last week for a mispronunciation, so I thought I'd better check this week. So we're going with Imgur.
Yeah.
Yep. So what they did is they essentially they were a small studio. They were an IP that people didn't know, and it's like, well, how do we get people to know about us and know our game? And what they did was they threw their dev blog upon Imgur, and from that they started driving people to sign up for emails so that they could contact them, and they went and got hundreds of thousands of views, and they started getting contact details from people, and were able to start building the community that way, because they knew if we try and use Facebook and we try and use Twitter, that wasn't going to be effective for them, because their social accounts had in the tens, maybe the hundreds of followers, because they were not well known. But they did some research and was like, well, if we throw up this information on Imgur, it's going to be much more accessible to people. People are going to be able to kind of find it when they're not looking for it, and it can grow from there. And that was really, really successful for them, and that was kind of how they built their following, dropping GIFs and memes, which is something you know all about from the marketing. I'm usually plugging my blog post, but I'm going to plug.
You're going to plug one of my blog posts.
I'm going to plug Adam this week.
Talk about my blog post at length.
Yeah, he posted a few months ago a really, really good blog post on the power of being able to market your video games with memes and GIFs. So that's definitely well worth a read. I'm sure a link will be posted in the chat somewhere, so check that out after you've watched this video. Don't go now. But they really utilised that, and it was interesting. I was reading an interview with someone from over there from the studio, and they were saying about they created this meme channel, and then they're like, oh, why did we do that? What was the point of that? And then from there, like, the community just picked it up and ran with it, and it was encouraging people to want to get access to the alpha and the beta, so that they could get the game and they could start creating these memes and understanding it, and that was really powerful for them, and they did really, really well out of that. I mean, Imgur is an inspired choice. I have to admit that's not something that would have immediately popped into my head. It will now that I've seen how well that's worked for them. But they talk about using the channels that are going to give them the most uplift. It's easy to run to Twitter and it's easy to run to Facebook, because people are there, but if the people aren't there for you, it is very hard to get in front of them. Whereas they went outside of the box and went to the people and let them find them, and similar on Reddit. So they were trying to utilize channels where they I don't necessarily like this word, but it's relevant, like to go viral and have a chance. So and it worked. So fair play to them.
Now, whenever you come on the show to talk about a segment, I we have notes beforehand to make sure that we know roughly what we're going to talk about. And you wrote the notes for me today on what you want to talk about. And the next point you have on your list is the word leaks in quote marks.
Leaks. Yeah.
Are you about to
I
go
love
deep
a
state
leak.
conspiracy theory on us? You think all leaks are fake?
Not all leaks are fake. Some leaks are completely accidental, for sure, and I'm sure people feel terrible about them. When you're working with very secretive information, it is incredibly scary to think that you might be a leak, and it's very stressful. So it happens. Leaks happen for real, but also I think we both know, without being naive, that leaks happen on purpose sometimes. That's why I branded it leaks. The one that I was actually thinking about is the BioShock one. I don't know whether you've seen this. So I think it was back in either March or May time. Someone stumbled across the website. There's always a lighthouse.com, and I mean, you're not going to stumble across that. Who is just going to find that? That's, for me. Call me a conspiracy theorist. That's come out of the publishers, come out of the studio, and it's a tip off to someone, maybe a tip off to a journalist, maybe it's someone has purposely done it from the studio and obviously under direction. I don't think someone's gone rogue and done it. And that all that is, if you haven't seen it, it is a one-page website with kind of like a dark screen and a shining light in the middle, and that's it. That's all it is. And the meta description, if you Google it, is stay tuned. So I immediately, with such little effort, they've been able to build up a lot of hype for a new BioShock game. But I think, again, that comes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Your size and your well-known ability, that's not a word, but I'm going to go with it, will affect the methods that you can use to build hype. For example, for Spellbreak, they couldn't do that because for their game, that they haven't got anything that means anything, whereas that is, BioShock fans know what that is, so they know a BioShock game is coming. So it's just it's the different levels of how you're able to do it, and it just shows the different ways you can do it. There's so many interesting ways to build hype, and it's one of my favorite things to see, like what people are doing to generate their interest, because as we've said, the competition is huge, and it is the innovative and the fun and the interesting things that will rise to the top. If you're just doing, your ordinary marketing, your general advertising, it's great. That's effective. It works. I'm not saying it doesn't, because it absolutely does. But you start picking up some real momentum when you think outside the box and you do something different. And yeah, the Lighthouse website is so simple and would have cost them probably next to nothing really, and built a ton of hype just like that. It's really fun to watch.
So because we overran on the news, we can't keep going all day, but I did want to give you another chance. Are there any other examples you wanted to talk about before we wrap up?
Yes, very quickly, I just want to talk about ARGs because I love watching the ARGs. I'm not quite there in participating yet and really being able to dive deep into one and participate, but our friends at Hello Games, they did I think we've spoken about it before, they did an ARG for one of their updates.
So just to clarify before we move on too far this time, ARG, what does that stand for? What does it mean for the folks at home?
That is my mind has gone blank.
It's an alternate reality game.
That's the one. I wanted to say augmented. It's not that. You're going to sound like an idiot if you say that. It's because I've just said ARG so much. It's like KFC. What does that stand for? It's just KFC now. It doesn't stand for anything.
What? I know what KFC stands for.
Wow.
Do you not?
Wow, an intellectual we've got here.
Sorry, so ARGs, yeah, they're basically like extensions of the game world, and they're puzzles or things that that players can interact with, often multimedia, so across websites, across audio files, across images that are spread across the internet usually.
Yeah, exactly. And what the really, really cool ones actually do start running into real life, and like the No Man's Sky thing there was physical things being sent out People were tracking things on planes and picking things up from airports, and there's some of the ARGs are really really intricate. And what was great about the No Man's Sky one is it started out and it was just it was an ARG for ARG players. It wasn't this is a No Man's Sky thing. It's kind of like halfway through the game. It's kind of like, oh, it's intertwining with No Man's Sky now. That's cool and interesting. And then it became obviously apparent that it was a No Man's Sky thing. It wasn't just intertwining. It was for No Man's Sky. So that was really cool. And the one that I was following a little while ago, and I wrote about a couple of times in the Etch Play roundup, was the redacted one for what turned out to be Gotham Knight, the new Arkham game, which I think relatively early on people had the suspicion that that's what it was, but there was also we didn't know what it was. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be maybe another Batman game, and it obviously is a Batman game, but you're not playing as Batman. You're playing as 4 different characters. So they just build intrigue. It again goes back to its community in a different way to Discord, whereas Discord is community in a different way. ARGs is community where you're working together and you're trying to, like for this redacted one, you were trying to figure out codes to unlock extra bits on the website and reveal trailers and new images and stuff. And again, it spreads because people need help to complete it, and that's when it spreads, and that's when the hype builds as more and more people hear about it and get involved. I mean, I found it on Twitter, and that's how I picked it up. I wasn't out looking for it. I stumbled across it on Twitter, and then I started talking about it in our team, and that's probably how our team found out about it, and then it spreads from there. And it's just another interesting way to build hype.
Cool. And if people are interested in finding out more thoughts from you, they can check out the Etch Play blog, etchuk.com/play. Our blog's on there, all our posts, including several written by Ben. And he'll be back next week, hopefully, on the Etch Play weekly live show, as will I if I've not been removed from my post. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. It's like an hour out of your day, or 45 minutes usually out of your day. And yeah, love our audience, really thankful to have you. Tell your friends if you liked it. Don't forget to follow, and you can turn on notifications in Twitch so it tells you when we're going live, and then you won't miss us any time we go live. I've been Adam Burt, he's been Ben Joy, and earlier today you saw Dan Thomas with the news, and we've been Etch Play. We'll see you next week, same place, same time, 4 PM Twitch. Be there, and we'll see you soon. Bye.